Previous session, I introduced numpy arrays and that they are used to perform element-wise calculations. Today, I further continue working with arrays. And here I've got the example of the list and corresponding arrays from previous session. And I want to add some values to these, both list and arrays. And then I want to compare them to see how they work. Let's say for the list, I want to add a value of 2. First, you need to make sure that the second element that is added to the first list is a list. So the list is added to a list. And I put it in print to see the output. And I do the same for the array just to be able to see the difference. And then run the code. And you see the element of 2 is added to the previous elements, and the previous elements are not modified, but one element is added when it is a list. But when it is an array, each element is added to 2. So, for example, 2.5 plus 2 is 4.5, and we do this and on each element. And there is another difference is that for arrays, it doesn't need to be necessary a list. It can be a number as well. You see, it returns the same results. And if it is a list and the number of elements in the list are more than 1, it should be exactly the same number of elements in the array. For example, mass array has 4 elements. So it should be 2, let's say 3, 18, and 13. So it should be 4. It should include 4 elements. And I run the code, and you see each element is added to the elements of mass. For example, first element is 2.5. It is plus 2.5. It returns 4.5. And something else that you can consider using that is that for addition of values to an array, you can use boolean values. For example, if there is false here and if there is true here, Python returns the value for corresponding value for false as 0 and corresponding value to true is 1. So if I run the code, so for example, for false is 0 plus the corresponding elements for mass is 2. 2 plus 0 is 2. And for true, corresponding value to true is 1. And 1 plus 1.9 returns 2.9. Subsetting. Subsetting for elements and lists, they work similarly. For example, for the mass, if we want to subset, for example, we look for elements with 0 index. We put this value, and before I run the code, I add the similar command for the array as well, and then run the code, and you see the output for both list and array are the same. And to compare the values in arrays, the story is different. Let's say I want to compare elements in array of mass arrays in mass more than or equal to 2, and then run the code, and you see it looks at all elements and check if the value is more than or equal to 2. If it is yes, the answer, so it returns true. If not, it returns false. And if I am looking for the corresponding value, not true or false, if I want to see Okay, Python, print out the elements that are more than or equals to 2. I should put it in a square colon, um, square bracket, sorry, and then put it mass more than equals to 2, and then run the code. And you see it returns corresponding values that are more than 2 or equal to 2. During last 2 sessions, I was working on one-dimensional arrays. I will discuss two-dimensional arrays and statistical analysis on next session. Thank you.